desperate young boys turns a Barbie doll into a sexy girlfriend to show off. Welcome to our channel. In today's video, we'll be going through an American comedy and science fiction movie from the year 1985 titled Weird Science. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. Wyatt and Gary begin the movie by sussing up the girls in their gymnastic class. They fantasize about what they can do with their voluptuous bodies while they fawn over them. Are daydreaming, Ian and Max sneak up behind them and humiliate them by exposing the gym shorts to the girls. Gary and Wyatt are shocked and horrified by the girls' disgusted expressions, so they take the shame walk. Gary spends the night at Wyatt's place later. Gary finds that Wyatt's brother Chet is coming home while creating a major mess in Wyatt's restroom. Gary complains about Chet, claiming that if he had known, he would not have accepted to sleep over. Gary gets an idea while watching a movie about the creations of Frankenstein's bride. He wants Wyatt to utilize his programming skills to create a woman who will fulfill their needs. Wyatt agrees with Gary because it sounds like a nice plan, with the two start to work. The boys successfully transform their Barbie doll into a real woman after a dubious and non-scientific procedure. The two maniacs promptly take a shower with their creations after they have shaken off their amazement. The boys shower with the naked woman while wearing pants because they are virgins. The woman takes the boys out for a night out in town after miraculously changed their outfits. The woman asks her makers to name her while they go, and they choose Lisa. Gary becomes inebriated after their night out and Lisa pushes Wyatt to drive them home. Chet instantly bullies Wyatt when they arrive at his place. Wyatt, unable to stand up to his older brother, seeks to bribe his way out of prison. Wyatt gets a passionate kiss from Lisa before the night is over. When Wyatt and Gary wake up in the morning, they believe they had simply dreamed about Lisa. After Lisa summons them for breakfast, their preconceptions are immediately dispelled. Wyatt, Gary, and Lisa travel to the mall later that day. Lisa visits the lingerie shop in search of sultry underwear while the boys attempt to get a perfume for her. Wyatt and Gary get a slushy shower from Ian and Max while taking a break from shopping. Deb and Hilly are enraged by their partners, but they forgive them in the end. Ian and Max run across Lisa on the escalator a few moments later. They immediately fall in love with her. They swiftly chase her down after witnessing her flirt back and learns she's Gary and Wyatt's girl. Lisa invites them to a party at Wyatt's house before they leave the mall. Wyatt panics when they get home because he had no idea Lisa was organizing a party. Lisa forces the young man to submit to her plans despite his desperate protests. Back at Wyatt's house, the boys warn Lisa that no one will come because they are losers. The doorbell suddenly rings, and as Lisa answers the door, every teenager in town is standing outside. Everyone rushes inside and begins a wild night of partying. Ian and Max even showed up, bringing their girlfriends with them. While Lisa looks after the guests, Wyatt and Gary locks themselves up in a bathroom. Ian and Max try to get Lisa's attention downstairs and it works. After Deb and Hilly ask if they can use the bathroom upstairs, Gary and Wyatt rush to get rid of the foul odor. Surprisingly, the two girls enter the restroom with the boys. Ian and Max find that Lisa would always follow Gary and Wyatt's command as they have their awkward debuts there. Gary and Wyatt decide to make their move on the two girls in the bathroom. Regrettably, the boys discover that Deb and Hilly are no longer present. Downstairs, Lisa advises Deb and Hilly to shower with Gary and Wyatt since it's a mind-numbing experience. Back at Wyatt's house, the downstairs party is getting crazier by the minute. Ian and Max try to make a deal with Wyatt and Gary upstairs. Ian and Max want to trade Lisa for their girlfriends. Because of common decency, Wyatt and Gary claim they can't do it. Finally, Gary chooses to demonstrate the process of creating artificial life to them. The boys put on their dubious science gear and begin the process of producing a new woman. They begin the process and the planet begins to spin out of control once more. Lisa notices something is wrong and begins hunting for the boys. Meanwhile, the rest of the party folks are subjected to the strange science effects. The house becomes shambles and some party folks' clothes are ripped off and tossed outdoors like ragdolls. When the experiment is finished, a silhouette of a woman appears in front of the boys. It's Lisa, much to their amazement. She then chastises the boys, pointing out that they forgot to bring a doll. Unfortunately, things swiftly spiral out of control when their strange science results in the creation of a massive nuclear weapon. Right after that, Gary takes a perplexed Wyatt upstairs to the bathroom while Lisa is dissatisfied with their response. Lisa, unable to give up on altering the boys, devises a strategy to force them to grow up. Brutal and scary men arrive at her signal to raid the party. Inside the house, the robbers start riding their motorcycles, causing everyone to flee in terror. Gary and Wyatt eventually come face to face with the raiders' boss, and the boys tuck their tails and flee. Lisa informs the boys that this is a time for them to demonstrate their bravery. As a result, the boys continue to hide because they don't want anything to do with it. Soon after, one of the attackers takes Wyatt and Gary from their hiding place. The leader mocks the boys and shames them in front of the entire group. Deb and Hilly are kidnapped by the raiders moments later. As a result, Gary and Wyatt are forced to take actions and confront the raider. Gary approaches the leader and tells him that the girls must be released and that he must leave the property. Then he takes out his toy gun and threatens to shoot the leader. The ruse works, and the raiders apologize nicely before departing the party. Gary informs Wyatt that the gun is merely a toy, but it turns out to be a real weapon. Hilly expresses her gratitude to Wyatt after the party. She then asks for a kiss and tells him that dating Ian was a mistake. Gary and Deb are getting closer upstairs as well. Gary then tells Lisa the truth about herself. He also claims that he sees her as his older sister and that he prefers women like Deb. Deb begins making out with him after hearing his confessions. Chad arrives in the morning to find the entire property in disarray. He rushes to his room to see whether it's okay, but when he gets there, it's blanketed in snow. He becomes enraged and begins searching the house for his brother. He first goes for Gary and Deb, interrogating them about Wyatt. Chad confronts his brother and Wyatt informs him of the truth. Of course, Chad refuses to trust him, so Wyatt bribes him with his college funds. Lisa and Chad finally meets face to face not long after that. When Lisa has had enough of being nice to him, she dispatches the young boys to drop off their girlfriends while she deals with Chad. She gives the Porsche to Wyatt and the Ferrari to Gary. When the teens have left, the pompous Chad takes no time in confronting Lisa. Lisa refuses to budge and demands that Chad forgets all that transpired in the house. She also advises him to begin treating the boys with respect and dignity. Lisa realizes Chad is unmoved and tells him that if she doesn't get what she wants, she may be a formidable adversary. Chad, who is arrogant, refuses to back down and challenges Lisa to give him her best shot. In the meantime, the boys are on their way to pick up the ladies. Gary is pursued by the cops for speeding, but he quickly outturns them and even receives a kiss from a surprised Deb. Wyatt safely drops Hilly off at her home elsewhere. They share another passionate kiss after confessing their feelings. Before leaving, Wyatt confesses his love for Hilly, takes a garden shower, and toasts his newfound relationship. Gary and Deb are also having a good time. To seal their new partnership, the two shares a passionate kiss. Lisa, on the other hand, has transformed Chad into a slimy, hideous monster. Chad apologizes to Lisa and requests that she returns him to his previous state. Chad submits to Lisa's demand because he is afraid of getting elephant balls. Gary and Wyatt come shortly after, and their automobiles vanish as they enter the house. When they get inside, they run across Monster Chad, who apologizes to them right away. The boys then approach Lisa and request that she restore Chad's normalcy. She informs them that the metamorphosis will end in 30 minutes. Lisa then compliments the boy on their new girlfriends, revealing that this is exactly what she wanted for them all along. Then, after completing her mission, a tearful Lisa miraculously departs. Wyatt's house then goes back into auto repair mode. Later on, we see Lisa working as a young gym instructor. The movie concludes as the student passes